Okay, Bobby, we've been here an hour now, and I'm going to ask you one more time. Several music shops in this vicinity have been broken into with hundreds of quids worth of records stolen. We think it's a job done by you. So just admit it, and we'll see that you won't go down for too long.
I keep telling you, it wasn't me. I know who did it, but if I tell you who did it, you're going to have to give me protection. It was the Baggy Hi-Fi gang. Greetings, cats, kittens, and hopelessly addicted consumers of music. Welcome to Baggy Hi-Fi, this YouTube channel devoted to record collecting and the vinyl community here in the UK. Hope everyone is keeping well. It's been a brutally cold week here, lots of snow. That's why I'm wearing a scarf. Temperatures were down to about -8, -10. Just dreaming of double figures in the temperatures, but I do live in this part of the world, which is the highest point in the county above sea level, so we do tend to get quite a bit of snow. Although I was talking to someone who's lived here a longer time than I have, who said that this is about the worst winter in 20 years. But anyway, let's stop talking about weather. This video should be a fairly short one. It is a response to a thread which Peter at Sounds from the West Coast channel has set. Now Peter has rebranded his channel recently. He used to be called MDK 1958, and I have previously recommended his channel, but I've had time since to look back on his earlier videos. He's been in the vinyl community for about 3 years, I think, so I did look back at some of his earlier videos and thoroughly enjoyed them. As I say, Peter's channel is now called Sounds from the West Coast. But Peter is a fan of krautrock, electronic music, kosmische music, prog rock, some jazz as well, and also some Paisley Underground type music. He's very self-effacing in his videos, and he doesn't need to be, because his channel is really excellent. And I think one of the purposes, hopefully, of people making videos in the vinyl community is to recommend music to people who've maybe not come across those records or artists before. And Peter certainly does that, because if I hadn't been watching his videos, I wouldn't have come across, for example, the Svart label in Finland. Does some great reissues of prog and psych from Europe, or even the El Paraiso label, which seems to be kind of, I haven't investigated yet, but seems to be sort of contemporary free jazz and prog as well. And Peter made a really good point in one of his earlier videos. I think there is less stigma now about prog, progressive music, than there used to be. It used to be kind of just anathema to many people. But he made the point that if any form of music moves you, then it does have soul. And one of the criticisms of prog is, that it's too technical and it doesn't have any soul. But I think Peter made a good point that prog certainly can move us, and therefore it does have soul. So I do recommend his channel. This is a response, as I say, I'm going around the houses at the moment, a response to a thread that he has suggested on to choose 5 great band names and 5 bad ones, or 5 naff band names. So I have the good ones on my left, in my opinion, and the bad or naff ones on my right. So I'm going to go through the good ones first. Roxy music. I think how you might assess whether a band name is good or not is whether it suits their music. And Roxy music, began in the early 70s, Brian Ferry and Eno, etc. And this is the climate where bands were called, macho names like Wild Turkey and Thin Lizzy, those kind of names, which, suit those bands. But of course, Ferry and co were thinking about something completely different, something very sophisticated, something retro, something very arty. And I think Roxy, you know, there's a nostalgic feel to it. You think of Roxy cinemas from the 30s, and certainly Ferry was looking back as well as kind of moving music forward by plundering music of the past, but you know, aligning it with this kind of space age, strange sounds, of course, that Eno contributed a lot towards that. So this is one of my favourite Roxy music sleeves, well, even though it's not really one of my favourite albums by them. So it's Siren. Second band name, which I think is a good one and fitting to the band, is Egg. Canterbury jazz rock band from the early 70s. This is my original copy of their album The Civil Surface. Canterbury bands were very fond of making puns, and I think Egg is just a kind of abstract name. You know, as we went into the 70s, bands were choosing names that were moving away from the 60s style of names, you know, like the Beatles, into something a little bit more abstract. And I think Egg suits this very much sort of chamber prog Canterbury sound, which is shown off very well on this great album, The Civil Surface. This is the original on Caroline Records, which is an offshoot of Virgin Records, when Virgin Records were very much an experimental label. It's a Roger Dean label there. This is from 1974, but I think the sessions were earlier ones by Egg. Put that down there. Third good band name is Them. Van Morrison's band from Belfast. This is The World of Them, which is a record I do spin quite a bit. I think the name Them sort of fits into that 60s category, like The Who. You know, quite startling, very blunt, really suits their raw R&B sound, I think. Makes them sound a little bit threatening as well, which I guess they probably were. The fourth good band name I've chosen is Jason Crest, or The Jason Crest, English psychedelic band. I think the name makes me think of, it's sort of florid, as a lot of the names were for English pop psych bands. But apparently the name came from one of their songs before they were called Jason Crest, and the song was called The Collected Works of Justin Crest. So they decided that title was a good one, and they sort of adapted it slightly to the name of their band, changed the name of the band to Jason Crest. And it's kind of makes me think of sort of stately homes and Hammer films as well for some reason. And the band did do a song called Black Mass, which is on this collection of their pop psych tunes, full of backwards guitar and screaming and Hammond organ. Great band, The Jason Crest, or Jason Crest, and a good name, I think, very fitting, fits their music. The final band name that I think is a good one and really fits the sound of the music is Belbury Polly, electronic band on the Ghost Box label. I haven't shown this one before, but this is their most recent album, They're Gone Away, which is a theme of fairies. Lovely packaging as ever from Ghost Box. And Belbury Polly, like a lot of music on the Ghost Box label, it's a very nostalgic name. I think it makes you think of polytechnics of the 70s and provincial polytechnics. Belbury, imaginary place, makes you think of somewhere in the English provinces. Okay, so that's the good band names, or the ones I think are good. Moving on to the ones I think which are not so good, or naff. Wings. I mean, following the Beatles, how can you pick a name? Anyway, it's interesting that Paul McCartney did choose a name for his post-Beatles grouping. But Wings, it's odd, isn't it? I guess we're used to it because we all know Wings, but I just don't think it's a very good name. Second poor band name is Sonic Youth. Now I think it does fit their music, but Peter made a point when he chose Beach Boys as not a very good name. It doesn't age well, and the members of Sonic Youth, although I don't think they really exist at the moment, are getting on a bit now. They're in their 60s, and any band that chooses the name Youth and has some longevity, that name maybe doesn't fit so well anymore as the years roll by. This is a great record though. This is a 4-track EP from an appeal session that they did where they covered all songs by The Fall. So there's My New House, Rauch Rumble, Psycho Mafia and Victoria, recorded in 1989. Nice label there, designed by cartoonist J.D. King, I think, yes. Third Naff band name, or one that doesn't suit the music, is Tubeway Army. I think Gary Numan's Tubeway Army, when they first formed, were a guitar, punky 1977 style punk band, and of course they went fairly early on in this electronic direction. But this album, Replicas, is still credited to Tubeway Army, even though after this I think he would go under the name just Gary Numan, which is more fitting to this very cool electronic music. Yeah, so I just don't think it fits because Tubeway Army sounds like something rather aggressive, whereas Gary Numan's music was very not aggressive, very much all about alienation, all that early 80s stuff. I used to look down on Gary Numan, just think he was sort of a copyist of low era Bowie, but these first few records are really strong and I enjoy listening to them. So this is Replicas by Tubeway Army. And the final band name, which I think is a terrible one, sort of a wacky band name, and I just think they could have chosen a better name. They're a good, really interesting sort of rural English psych band, the Cleaners from Venus. This is the album, the double album, Living with Victoria Gray. I think they just did themselves a disservice by choosing that wacky title, Cleaners from Venus. So that's the end of my choice of 5 good band names and 5 Naff band names. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks as ever for watching. Do subscribe or do check out Peter's channel at Sounds from the West Coast. And I'll see you soon, and let's hope the weather warms up a little bit. Bye for now.